Hey, hello, and welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee on Above Life channel. Today we're going to talk about predictable. Is it?
At this point, I have a connection.
Okay, let's do a check of the sound while we're waiting for arrivals here. Oops. Okay, great. Welcome to the last week of October 2024. Oh my. October has been, oh my goodness, such a whirlwind. Have you felt that too? Have you felt that? The energies. I know that many of you follow the astrology and the moon cycles and the seasons, and there's so much that seems to be unfolding in the month of October. And I know that many of you, thank you for the notes that I've received and the emails and things and the kind words. I appreciate it. In regards to my recent crossing of the threshold of the 1 year from my emergency open heart surgery. That was in October of 2023 on the 13th, actually 13th and 14th. And I just finished up a ton of medical appointments this week. Has been very full with medical appointments, counseling appointments, and just a lot. There's just been a lot this week and a lot of passages. And one of the things that I have learned over the course of the last year is how truly unpredictable life is, and that we can, if we can give ourselves permission to just embrace the fact that we aren't going to be able to control things. We aren't here living life to control life, to have an expected outcome. We aren't able to predict. We really aren't. And that's a weird thing for a psychic to say. And over the course of the last year, I've really been contemplating that and sitting with that as I've been sitting on the couch a lot, letting my physical body heal. And I'm very happy to report that being present and supporting my personal healing process, my physical healing process, as well as my mental health, which is a journey now, post medical trauma stuff, I am happy to report to you and share with you that I do not have to go back to the doctor for a year. I have a full year to be able to roller skate and let myself get back into the rhythm of exercising again. And I can lift weights, low weights, though I can't do. I mean, there's thresholds now. Like there's not thresholds. There are bumpers on my bowling alley now. It's not safe for me to lift a certain amount of weights. So I have to do lower weights for a longer period of time. I'm also happy to report, but I can handle that, right? And the roller skating thing is kind of funny because, I got some coffee on me. The roller skating thing is funny because that's kind of been the joke I've had with my aortic specialist doctor, my cardiac doctor has been, well, can I roller skate? But can I roller skate? Not that I roller skate now usually. I did have a little outing in June where I tried to roller skate, and that was tricky. So I ordered myself a bunch of roller skates and I tried them on, and I have a beautiful pair. I will have to post those. Maybe I'll bring them tomorrow to our weekly video and show you. But I'm going to just keep rolling with life. And I know it's unpredictable, and it's totally possible that I will fall on my roller skates. But for me, this last year, there's been this huge fear and this bubble about what does this mean for me now? What is my life going to look like? And there's just everything about life is unpredictable. It really is. Even though there is consistency, there's consistency in the unpredictability of it. There's consistency in change. Things are going to change. the hours of the day are going to change. If you're thinking in a linear fashion, the days of the month are going to change. The months of the year will change. That the weather seasonally will shift and change. Although, look at the unpredictability of that. Just recently with the hurricanes and the weather events here in the United States have been unpredictable. There's been lots and lots of attempts and lots of pressured energetics around trying to predict where it's going to hit and when it's going to hit and how bad it's going to be. And there's a lot of different models because there are variables to the experiences of life. And so unpredictability, something being unpredictable, isn't about, well, you don't care then you don't do anything, then just give up. That's not what it's about. In the spiritual context, surrendering or acceptance to the simple nature and the rhythms of life is what gives us the opportunity to move with it. It's not something to get over or to get through. I just got to grit and bear it, maybe. Or I got to push through, that kind of concept. That's a mental thing. That's a short stint. It's like a sprint that you can do. But long-term, that does not work. We get exhausted, we get fatigued, we get compassion fatigue, we get sensory overload. That's what we're seeing now with all the different social medias and the stimulation that we have. And you can see it in different generations and how it's impacted their context of their culture and their society and their interactions. And for some thrive in that environment and some don't. Some can't even function or really find a lot of struggle in just some basic, simple things. So when we think about things being predictable or life being predictable, I think it's a caution to have expectations. I think it's wise to have standards and structure within yourself, for yourself. And that could be values or ethics or personal codes of operation, like how you're going to move through the world or the principles in which you're going to live by. And those things evolve and grow over change because you have different experiences. Now that I've had open heart surgery and now I live with an aortic dissection, my life looks a little bit different. But for the last year, I had no idea what that actually would mean for me. And I still don't know. I really don't know, because with an aortic dissection, it's not like something I prevent from happening. It's not like I just change my diet and it's fine. It's not a heart thing. It's different than that. Although I do have a heart component of it because I also have a heart valve. But that's just like, my heart is very, very strong. It's great, but it's the aorta that moves everything through the body and impacts all the other organs and things that is dissected. So it doesn't work the same as it could, as effectively as it could. It's working just fine. Everything is status quo from the surgery point onward. Nothing has changed, which is great. That's what we don't want. We don't want disruption in the flow there. And so, which is weird to kind of be like, okay, now I have this duality of I don't want anything to change inside. And yet there's nothing I can do to make it better. So I have to release and surrender. And that requires a trust in the natural rhythm of my body and the innate ability of my body and the natural progression of my body, because I will age now, right? Like, I've had experiences this last year. I feel like I kind of joke about it like I've aged 10 years, but I do feel like I have, because of the stagnancy of my physical body has had to have time to heal. And like the doctor said, he's like, you've done a great job. You've really done a good job. He said, all your numbers, all your stats are really good. I mean, this is the best that we could expect from a massive surgery, And it's funny because I just heard also that, okay, it wasn't 9 inches. It was 10 that was replaced. You're in the double digits. I'm like, what? This is so funny. Oh my God. I'm like, really? 10? Okay. Yay, I'm such an overachiever. But everything's working well. But I can't see that. I can't predict that. I can't predict that I won't, with this condition, this situation that's inside my body, I'm not a prisoner to it anymore. Like I'm letting go of the fear, the worry of the unknown and the unpredictability. And I'm moving forward with the trust in the rhythm of my body to manage my health, to focus on the wellness of the day that I have, this moment that I have. And for a long time, it really felt like I was really kind of contemplating this duality of I'm grateful to be alive, but is this a death sentence? Am I ever going to be able to walk 8 miles again? Am I ever going to be able to run if I wanted to do a half, like a 5K? The doctor's like, yeah, no. And now it's like, well, yeah, if you wanted to do something like that, you obviously would need to train and take care of yourself more than other people and not push yourself. And it's not about pushing the body and overcoming obstacles or barriers. It's about working with and flowing with and in rhythm with. That's the most important thing, I think, is that understanding that we can't predict things. Things are going to happen. I could walk down the street and somebody could come by and not see me and I could be out of the body. Then all of this worry, this excessive time wasted contemplating the what ifs would be for nothing. And I could have spent that time doing other things like cuddling with my dog or texting my kids saying, hey, good luck on your test, or, having a conversation with one of my friends, or going for a beautiful nature walk, things like that, like appreciating the presence of the power of our moments and recognizing that the unpredictability isn't something that we are to overcome. We are not to overcome that. We are to accept that this is a state that we live in, which is a fluid state, which is a dynamic state, which is cool because it's interesting and curious and evolutionary. And it's not boring at all. And yeah, sometimes it's fucking hard. And the emotional component of living life and humanity is very challenging at times. And this is why our mental health is mission critical to our humanity, to our individual life experiences, to the ripple effect that we have on the relationships we have, which is why we're responsible for our own healing journeys, which is why we are responsible to deal with our childhood traumas instead of letting these repetitive cycles, which are predictable cycles, over and over again. Do you date the same person over and over again? Do you marry the same person over and over again? Do you enter into the same job over and over again? Do you constantly complain about people not appreciating you at your job, in your personal life with your family, taking advantage of you, maybe you being the one that has to, go and fix the plumbing over and over again. Nobody else is doing it. You have to do it, kind of thing, at your mom and dad's? Or are you the person that, ended a relationship and then you entered into another relationship and you're in the exact same pattern that you were before? It may not be as bad. You maybe learned a few things, but you can live with it because it wasn't as bad as before, but it's not great. And you're just fine. And you're just kind of there. I mean, are you that person? Are you? And then are you complaining about how somebody doesn't appreciate you or you don't feel appreciated enough? Maybe it's because inside, your feelings and emotions need to be recognized, need to be in a state where you are aware that it's okay that you feel bad, sad, angry, upset. But to blame is to redirect. To get upset at the other person is totally redirecting because you're the one that is in the relationship. You're the one that is choosing that job. You are the one that is choosing that person. You are the one that is choosing to say, yes, I will come over and I'll move the couch. Even though you don't have time, you have 15 other things to do, and your brother lives down the street and he should do it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, these are just random examples, you guys. This is fake stuff. This isn't like my life isn't like that. I'm lucky. But I talk to enough of you in private session that I know that this is real stuff. We spend and waste so much energy in showing up in repetitive patterns that are not healthy, in dynamics that are not good for us, that we're just like, okay, this is as good as it's going to get for me, kind of thing. And I'm telling you, I am an example this last year. Now I know that I get to create my life again in a way where I don't have to accept limitation to the extent where it makes me feel like tips the scale into like, oh, I could die any moment. Well, yeah, I could, because with an aortic dissection, something can happen and then it's over. But it's random. It's not predictable. The only predictability would be as if I was doing crazy things or, drinking a bunch of alcohol or smoking a bunch of cigarettes or whatever to create a deterioration inside. And even that would be something that over time they would notice. It's not like an aneurysm that just all of a sudden shows up overnight. It's not like that. And so the cycles and the rhythms that create structure can support us, or it can completely take us off track. So it's that duality again. Here we are. Is it predictable? Is life predictable? Or is it not predictable? Like, which is it? Like, it's like I said, it's weird for a psychic to say that, but I'm here. I'm a living example of the fact that you can't control shit. You might want to, and you try to, and you waste energy trying to. That doesn't mean don't show up. It means show up, be authentic, be honest, be truthful. What is true for you in the situation, in the scenario, in the dynamic, instead of holding on to something that you just always do, or you always respond in that way, or you always do this, or you're always doing that. Other people are going to be upset. They're going to push back if you say, no, I'm not going to do that this year, or no, I'm not going to come to Christmas this year because I don't want to. I'm going to go on a cruise instead, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there's backlash. People are going to be upset, but okay, who matters on your deathbed? Those people? Even if it's your family? Even if you feel guilty because it could be grandma's last Christmas. What about you? What's best for you? What's best for you? And I get that you have to balance and find harmony in your relationships. And I'm not suggesting you just do everything for yourself and fuck everybody else. There's got to be a balance. But there's got to be a balance. There's a duality. And it exists with you as the center. Other people don't get to define how you show up in the world. You define that because you choose that. That you get to do. That is the choice that you get to make, creates the life that you have. And the choices you get to make come over and over and over and over again. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. So the cycles or the rhythms of life, you can look at it both ways, right? A cycle or a pattern that's destructive is not healthy for you. People in addiction understand this, right? People in codependency, just in general, like looking to somebody else to fill some void in you because your mom didn't love you enough, or to fix the trauma you had from childhood abuse. So you're looking for somebody else to give you that love that you didn't get. And really, there's a part in you that doesn't feel worthy of it anyway, so you can't receive it. And so it's up to us as an individual soul and spirit and heartfelt person to be aware of our emotions, be aware of them, not judge them right or wrong or good or bad, etc., which is really tough. That is really tough. That is so tough. But that is how you show up for yourself, by letting yourself be aware of your feelings. And you can do that. You can acknowledge your feelings by writing in your journal. Or you can phone a friend. I had two really close friends this week reach out to me and need to like process, vent, talk, acknowledge their emotions. And both of them, in both of those cases, with some dear, 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 wonderful friends of mine that I just adore, They both apologized. Oh, I'm sorry. I have so much. I know there's just too much here. I am too much. My emotions are high. I know I sound crazy. I know this, I know that. I'm like, that's not helping. That's not helping. Why are you apologizing to me? You get to share, you get to have your space. I'm not taking on your stuff. I'm just letting you process out loud. Talk out loud. They're your feelings and your emotions. So don't belittle them. I had to remind both of them, I'm like, you have permission to be yourself. If you are pissed off and cray cray, be pissed off and cray cray. Okay? In the moment, right? Because then you don't become that as your identity. It moves through. Because why? Because life is dynamic, right? It's dynamic, which is unpredictable, which means it can change, which is a good thing because you can influence that. And you can embrace the rhythms of life that are healthy for you and helpful for you, like routines and patterns, and like the way you eat, the way you move through the world, the things that you do to honor your emotions, whether it be going to a counselor, talking to a friend, or writing in your journal, just for example. It seems so easy, simple, basic. Well, then why don't you do it? Because we were not taught to show up for ourselves in these ways. These seem so trivial. And really, the small things like this create the relationship trust within ourselves so that when massive shit happens, like emergency open heart surgery, you have a trust within yourself. I spent more time with myself just chilling the last year than with anybody else. And I let myself move through all the stuff, and I was in a lot of uncertainty, and I was there. Yeah, there was a huge duality for me in a place where I was happy to be alive. I felt very grateful, and I am very grateful to be here, to be present and alive. And at the same time, also like, okay, well, if I'm going to live, what kind of life am I going to have? Like, I didn't live just to sit on the couch and take it easy. And so, luckily for me, I am very fortunate because I was able to advocate for myself because I'm on my side, because I've been getting to know myself now, because things are so completely different for me. It's like I died and I was reborn. I had like this. I mean, I know that sounds super dramatic, but it's kind of true. Like the life before the dissection and emergency open heart surgery, and then this healing dome bubble tunnel after, and then now what's next piece for me, because it really is like new. Everything's new in a really beautiful way, but also in kind of a way of like, well, what do I do with this now? It feels like really important. And also, I'm not in this big rush anymore to like accomplish this and do that and do this and have this happen and have that happen, like pushing things. I'm just letting the energy flow and unfold. And it feels good to do that. And it feels strange. Actually, it feels strange when I can sit for 2 hours in the early hours of the morning and let the sun come into the big window in the living room and sit on the couch and just kind of be there in that sacred space and cuddling with my dog Rosie and having my journal and my essential oils next to me, a couple of my favorites that I have. I've been using Passage lately and Release and my Snake Priestess oil, and just kind of having them handy if I need that extra support or that sweet connection, and my cards and a book that I've been reading, and just in that just really beautiful space. I can spend 2 hours there and be like, oh, okay, now it's time to feed the dog and go for a walk and then start the day kind of thing. And it's just it's such a gift. It's such a gift. And that, in a way, that's a new cycle for me. That's a new pattern for me. Now, when I create something like that, or when we create something like that, it doesn't mean it has to be forever. because really everything is temporary, because there's one thing we can be sure of that we can predict is that everything will change. Everything will change. And the fact that we try so hard to hold on to things or hang on to things is not helpful or healthy for us at all, at all, at all, at all, at all, at all, at all. I literally had to let go of everything I thought I knew about myself, my body, my life, what I want. I just, everything just had to be opened, wide opened, which is very vulnerable in that heart space. And the not knowing is really challenging. And feel the feelings of being in awareness of the feelings that I was having about my body and the questioning, like, how could I not know this? How could I not know that this was majorly happening inside of me? How could I not know this? And it's like, what would I have done differently, really? I wouldn't have maybe even lived as much. And now I understand, I have this perspective that this understanding and sort of a peaceful acceptance. At times I'm still so rebellious and I want to fight that and just be like a warrior, like, you can do anything. And we can do anything. I can do anything. If I want to run a marathon, I can do that. I have this circumstance inside my body that I also want to listen to and honor and be in alignment with and flow with it. I don't want to say, fuck you, body, I'm doing this. I mean, what's the point of that? I need to be on my own side. You need to be on your own side. You need to recognize not your limitations, but you need to honor the relationship with your physical body. So many of us treat our body like crap, We overeat or eat the things that aren't helpful, or too much sugar, or too much alcohol or stimulants or that kind of thing. Like, I haven't had, and I'm not suggesting like abstinence necessarily, but I know that alcohol is really bad for my body. I know it is. And every once in a while I might have, actually, I'm trying to think of when the last time I had, a couple months ago, I think I had half a glass of wine and it was like, I didn't feel so good after. So I'm like, I'm just making different choices as I move through life. And if I go on vacation, I might have a fun drink and I might regret it after. I mean, whatever, I don't know, but it's all about the balance, and what's best for me and what's going to help me. And I want that for you too, without judgment, without shame or guilt. I was talking the other day with my partner and we're talking about how what came up was fear is such a motivator, which sucks because it pushes people to do things or not do things. And I'm like, it pushes us off of our center. I'd rather be inspired. I'd rather be in an alignment with myself and have such a deep connection with what I know that is true for me, that fears don't stay. They're temporary and they flow through, just like any other emotion. And then there's freedom in that. So I'm really also, I have other good news too. I am really happy to report that I get off some of my medications, which is great, because for those of you who've been on a lot of medications, it really messes with you. It's messed with my physical body. It's made me really fatigued and more tired than normal. And it's been hard to know this last year, what part is like a medication induced symptom or scenario and what part was like, well, this is just my life now. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't know, there wasn't enough information. And so now after going to the doctor and getting that, hey, everything looks really good. Really good. You've done a great job of taking care of yourself. And I'm like, okay, so now I'm advocating for myself because I know myself and I'm knowing my body, not out of fear of side effects or whatever, or long-term impacts, but out of an awareness and a recognition of what's good for my body and what's not. I'm like, well, since I've already cut a couple of these medicines in half, and the doctor just got to roll his eyes because I've seen him like 4 times this year, And he's like, okay. He's like, how's it working? I'm like, much better than it was. I was so like, I couldn't remember shit. I was kind of dizzy. I was like, oh my God, is this just my life now? Is there something neurologic wrong with me? Went to a neurologist. The neurologist said, it's your medicine. I'm like, oh, well, that's a relief, you know? And so dialed back on some of that. And now the doctor literally was like, okay, you're doing great. So yeah, we'll take you off this one and we'll take you down on this one and we'll do this and you can do that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm already doing these three things anyway. So great. Now we're just going to throw these suckers away. Woohoo, you know? And if at some point in my lifetime I need that again, then I'll step back into it. But right now I don't need that. If my body needs that, I will do that because there's a reason why we have brilliant minds that created medicine, right? So now I'm down meds. I had like tons. I should have showed you guys. I had like 10 different medications. And now I think, down to 5 or 6. And 2 of them are just hormone replacement therapy, which I need. And one of them is a mental health thing. So 3 of them aren't even heart meds. So I only have a couple. Actually, if you count a baby aspirin, I think I just have 3, which is great. That's fucking amazing, you guys. High fives to me. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And so the thing is I want this for you, this awareness. Let your feels be feeled, you know, honor your emotions. You don't have to act. Emotions are just, they're information. They're not directives. And as empaths, we get so confused by that. And I know because I'm talking to you guys all the time and you're like, well, I feel this. Does that mean I'm supposed to do this? Or this happened out here and then I feel this way. And does that mean this? I'm like, dude, that's not intuition. That's information from emotions, right? And we are sensory and we are intuitive in our heart, but our intuitive heart isn't about house cleaning and getting out the emotions. It's about building that relationship within ourselves. That's what the empath is understanding that. And then using your gut, which is lower, deeper, more of a root base of your heart, of the emotion, of the energy flow. That is intuition. And then intuition partners with the heart space. And then that can help you to flourish. Those two together, those dynamic duals of the heart and the soul are awesome. But do not make the mistake of thinking that emotions are intuition. Like, as in prediction, like psychic prediction or psychic things. You got to do this. You got to do this. I think it's confusing because sometimes people say, well, I had a feeling. I'm like, yeah, where was it in your body? It wasn't just here. It was deeper. It might have started here like a little fire and a flicker, but it went down deeper into the body. And then it feels like it's part of you. That's intuition, right? And if you start arguing with yourself about something, oftentimes that's intuition as well. And it's either intuition where energy is coming in so that you can discern it and clear it out, what doesn't fit for you, or gives you additional information to give you support to kind of tip the scales towards something, a choice that you're making, a decision that you're making. But intuition is never, very rarely like this, do this now. I think when people talk about that, it's like, the truth is they've had intuition about that exact thing for months and months and months and months and years and years and years and years, and they never heard it or they never recognized it as that. And all of a sudden it gets so loud at one point that it feels like it just all of a sudden is there. And there's this like urgency about it. But the truth is it's underneath. It's part of that sacred relationship with yourself, with you. And that's the one thing that I've been gifted this year, is getting to know myself in a new way too, not the way that other people expect me to show up, regardless of what community it's in, whether it's in the queer community, whether it's in my family as I'm the role of the mother, or in my sibling relationship as I'm the big sister, or in my business as I'm like this expert or whatever. I don't know how you guys see me, but I'm going to show up authentically and in a way that honors you where you're at and recognizes that your emotions are a way to feel more expanded, and it's a sense of freedom when you acknowledge them. It's not even about acting on them. It's just the awareness that you're dynamic and you're vivid and vibrant. And so you're interesting and you have multiple emotions. And emotions and heart and empath, as we know in this year of 2024, is the year of the empath, is a great, great place to be in your body because it balances that connection of the mind, the intellectual mind, and the spiritual, ethereal mind, as well as the physical body, as well as the soul of you. So on Above Life channel, you know that we work with body, mind, heart, and soul, a very simple, very basic model. Body, mind, heart, and soul. And it could be in different ways for you. It could be soul, heart, mind, body. Whatever that looks like for you, however it's flowing for you is exactly right in alignment for you. And flowing with the rhythms of the energy as we move in this dynamic way with a mind and a heart and a soul and a body. It seems complicated, but it's not. It doesn't have to be. It can be very, very simple. Very simple. So I am going to mention, I've tried to say this like 3 times, and then I'm like, whoa, here, and oh, I want to tell you this, and oh, I want to tell you about that. I want to tell you about everything. Because I'm going off some medications, I may not feel great at times. It's possible I could have more headaches. It's possible I could maybe get a stomach ache, things like that, just because the body kind of does. Sometimes it detoxes, and I don't know how long that will take, especially with blood pressure medicine and stuff. That's kind of different, and heart stuff is different. So I might have some ups and downs with that. So if I have a headache or something like that and I can't come on, don't worry about me. It doesn't mean anything horrible. Just always assume the best. Okay. Always assume, oh, I'm just taking time for myself, or, oh, my kid just surprised me, which has happened. My kid just shows up or is like, hey, I'm coming home today. I'm like, okay. Or I'm like out with my dog walking and it's like 2 hours later. And I'm like, oh crap. I just went and got coffee. And I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to work today. Oops. I'm supposed to be here with you guys. I totally spaced the time and I have no idea. I'm like, oh my God, it's Sunday. I was thinking it's Saturday all day. That kind of thing. So don't worry. Please don't worry about me. Instead, take care of yourself. Do something sweet or special for yourself. Okay. Can you do that? I would really love for you to do that. I really want you to take better, more tender care of yourself, not through action, but just simply through the thought of not being so hard on yourself, through softening around guilt or motivating by fear within yourself, because that doesn't work. Being hard on yourself, I've realized how mean I talk to myself when I've spent the last year with myself. I say that, and I was recognizing this. I was in counseling. I go twice a week now. And I was like, oh my gosh, I say that a lot, don't I? And she looked at me and she said, yes, you do. And I'm like, she's like, where does that come from? And I'm like, ooh. And she's like, should we address that? Do you want to start working on that? I'm like, yes, I would. Thank you very much. Recognizing a pattern, a cycle in my thought, which isn't bad. It's just not helpful. It's not my fault. And, oh, my life is bad now. And now I got to go back and realize that if I would have figured this out 25 years ago, I would have been so much happier. No, it's not about that. It's about the now and the power of the moment and the power of the relationship within myself. And I mean, if I don't like myself, if I'm not on my side, nobody else is going to be. They're not going to know me well enough to know me, to be in a real authentic relationship with me if I don't know myself that way. Do you know what I mean? Know yourself. It's okay. Don't be scared to know yourself. I think maybe a lot of people are afraid. You're not that bad person you've been told you are because you didn't do X, Y, or Z when you were 25. Or you're not that bad person that somebody just vented on you and told you were. It's like, what? Or because you were late for class and that sticks with you in your brain, or because you failed the test or whatever. Because so many of us, our stuff is school-based and authoritative-based or parental-based or older people, younger people, power dynamic-based, really. I think that's partly why, too, the election stuff is really a big trigger and a big trauma trigger for many of us. And we're using, I could talk about this at nauseum, but I won't talk about it too much today on Sunday Morning Coffee. Maybe tomorrow we can chat about it, but is that we are redirecting and projecting our personal traumas into what's happening in the US election. Notice the stuff that bugs you the most. And then look at your own life experience and where that's shown up in your life. It might not be a direct thing, like you might not have been homeless and had to deal with that, or had, been raised by a single mother, or had to live on food stamps, or been in a gang, or whatever your thing is or has been. You might not have had to immigrate to this country or what have you. But the energy around the collective is really, really, really being fueled. Like everybody's throwing their own stuff on the fire is what I'm trying to say. And so let's just recognize that so that you can maybe separate yourself from the truth for you. Like, what is truth for you? I'm not talking facts or fiction. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like what feels in alignment for you, what feels when you notice something bothering you. Ask yourself, what is in me that really this is touching on? And then grab your journal and write about it. Like, use this energetic that's happening the next couple of weeks now. Use it for good for you. Use it for therapy for you. And make sure you vote. I already did that a couple of weeks ago. As soon as there was early voting, I voted. So make sure you do that so you have a say or a voice, even if you think, well, it doesn't count. I'm like, well, that's part of the problem. You really need a life coach. You really need a spiritual life coach. You really need a psychic life coach. You really need somebody like me to work with you to get you off that. Well, I don't count. I don't matter. I'm worthless. I have no value. Like, that's what I hear when I hear people go, well, I don't vote because it doesn't matter anyway. I'm like, oh, so you don't matter? Like, so you're not going to contribute? You're just like quitting life or what? I'm like, wow, I'm glad I'm not in a relationship with you. Woo! So you really just don't give a crap, kind of thing. Like, wow, you devalue yourself. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Everything is dynamic. Honor yourself, value yourself. I don't want you to be in a place where you're less than, or you're a victim, or poor you. I know there's a lot of shit that happens, and yeah, it fucking sucks when the power dynamic is off and you get hurt. But also remember what the power is inside you, queen. And love yourself. And if you don't know how to do that, just start by listening to yourself and the way you're talking to yourself. And then encourage yourself instead of demotivate yourself or shame yourself or guilt yourself into doing something. Oh, I should be doing this. Because that's some of the stuff that I was saying in counseling was, well, I should be doing more. I feel lazy. I should have a job. I should go back to my job at the community center. Well, I can't because I have to lift 50 pounds and I have to do that repetitively. I can't do that. Like, that part, that's done for me. And oh, poor me. I could be like, oh, poor me. No, my life is done. I'm not like that. I was annoyed. I've been annoyed, but I'm like, God, I'm so lazy. I should do this and this and this. And she's like, aren't you healing? You're healing. You're doing things. I'm doing the caretaking for myself, the mental caretaking, dealing with the depression of the traumatic health situation. Health trauma creates a lot of depression. It's common, especially for heart surgery and especially for people, by the way, who've been on bypass. So if you're a heart person and you've been on bypass, it's not because you lost your shit all of a sudden or your will to live or whatever. It's that literally that affects you. That really does. When a heart and lung machine is breathing you and you're like offline, it's hard to just reconnect again. It's hard for that to happen. Plus, if you are also in any kind of surgery and under anesthesia for a really long period of time, okay, so like 9 hours or whatever, it affects you. Like the mental health piece, it really affects you. It does cause mental health stuff, depression, and like this weird duality. It's kind of like when you experience something and you have like a survivor's guilt, kind of like that, but a little bit different. This is really like this, oh my God, I'm not doing enough with my life. And what have I lost? And I didn't do enough. And I should have done more. And like, there's a lot of regrets and there's a lot of, oh my God, why did I make that decision? Why was I with that person? And why did I do this? And why did I do, like, there's a lot of that. And so that's normal. So if you're a person that's in that scenario, or you love somebody that's been through surgery like that, that's real. That situation is real. Okay. I need to say that that's real. Okay. And there is help for mental health support. There's support groups that you can get online for different types of illnesses or traumas that you've been through that can help support that. There's also, there's a great podcast, depression podcast that I listen to, which sounds funny. I listen to this great depression podcast. I share it on my TikTok often. And Living with Depression, I think it's called. I can't think of what it's called. Let me actually tell you. Let's see. I will look it up for you because it's a big deal. It sounds like, oh, why would you want to learn more about depression? Because that's how you manage it. It's not, it's a natural part of life for people. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, shoot. Can I find it? Where is it? Did I miss it? Where did I put it? Oh, I don't know where it is. Oh, wait. Is that it? No. Boy, this is boring for you, huh? Oh, no, that's not it. I don't know where it is. I had it on here. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's on I think it's on my Facebook page, which I'm never on Facebook, you guys. I am so bad about social media. I'm going to have to figure that out at some point. Jeez. Anyway, my point is, I'm glad to be here with you and sharing these experiences with you on this journey. And I'm really glad to be able to share with you the experiences that I've had this week and the good news that I've had, and to celebrate that as we lean in to this latter part of the year of 2024. I want you to know that I'm thinking about you empaths, and I know life is challenging. I know it is. And it's also extraordinarily rewarding, but it doesn't have to be in the big, bold, marquee letters that you think. It can be in the simple things of noticing the color of the leaves as you're walking, and when the leaves kind of fall on you, oh, it's so beautiful. Or you're standing in a store and you hear a baby giggling or laughing or something like simple like that. Or you're out and about and you see a dog, a really cute dog, or whatever. It can be just really simple things. It can be the way your pen feels on the paper, the weight of your pen on a journal, a really good writing utensil. Don't underestimate that. Or a good cup of warm coffee. Thank you so much for being here on Sunday Morning Coffee here on Above Life Channel. I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow on Monday. I think I'll come on Monday. There have been so many celebrity deaths. I think we should probably talk about some of that stuff. And I was thinking, I have different ideas about this. Let's talk about it tomorrow on our psychic part of Above Life Channel. Plus, it's Halloween week, so maybe we should talk about ghost stuff. I don't know. You guys will have to give me some suggestions when you pop in on the live stream on Monday, the 28th of October. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you guys have a great day.